Right now it's 6.
2, 1.
This is meant to help the so-called missing middle.
It certainly adds the residents that can help make our businesses thrive.
How an industrial neighborhood is transforming into a modern metropolis for the Bay Area's backbone. A family of farmers on the verge of losing their land.
You can't just quit.
How a local chef is leading the effort to keep them rooted there. Did a tornado touch down in the Bay Area?
We didn't know we were this vulnerable.
Meet a farm owner who says it left a mess on his property. And artificial intelligence gets the green light to run traffic signals in a Bay Area town.
In a lot of ways, this is the future.
This is CBS News Bay Area with Juliette Goodrich.
And good evening. A piece of San Francisco's past has become a focal point of its future when it comes to housing. So today, the city cut the ribbon on a brand new apartment building aimed specifically for the middle class. So think teachers, think city workers, families who don't qualify for low-income housing. It is called the Sophie Maxwell Building, named for the former supervisor. So the building sits on Maryland Street in Petrayo Point, on part of the land that used to be a PG&E power plant. The station shut down in 2011. So now it's a land of opportunity. And our Katie Nielsen spoke with neighbors who hope that housing projects like this can fill a much-needed housing gap and help transform the entire community.
San Francisco already has low-income housing, but for people who are working and don't qualify, even some of the more affordable neighborhoods like this one can still be too expensive. That's why targeting the missing middle class with subsidized housing can bring a lot of new options.
What I love is how vibrant the streets are.
J.R. Epler has lived on Potrero Hill since 2010 and loves the eclectic feel that comes from mixing residential with former industrial.
Over the course of the last 15 years, you've seen all of this construction in Potrero Hill and Dogpatch.
As president of the Petrayo Boosters Neighborhood Association, he was excited to hear about a new housing development going up along the waterfront, especially this one at the old Petrayo Power Station as part of a plan approved in 2020 to resurrect a piece of San Francisco's industrial past.
Our waterfront projects add to it. It increases the commercial corridor, it gives people more options, and it certainly adds the residents that can help make our businesses thrive.
That's why there was so much excitement around the ribbon cutting for the Sophie Maxwell Building.
2, 1.
It will provide subsidized housing for people who make anywhere from about $54,000 a year for a single person to $185,000 a year for a family of 5, the missing middle class. Residents are required to work and make twice the monthly rent to stay in their units.
When we open doors like these, we send a message to the people who make this city work, that you belong here, that your kids can grow up here, and that they can build a future in a place and a city that they love.
The developer said the goal was to provide housing to those who keep the city thriving, with 105 units in all, from studios all the way up to 2 bedrooms.
This is important because it's providing middle-income housing, some of the most hardest housing to build in San Francisco for artists, for teachers, for people who actually work here.
None of the residents for the new building have been selected yet. They'll be chosen during a lottery later this month.
Tonight, President Trump is floating the idea once again of sending the National Guard to San Francisco.
I think we can make San Francisco, there's one of our great cities 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and now it's a mess. And we have great support.
The president indicated the city could be on the short list for future deployments. He also claimed government officials here requested the help. He did not say who. So hours before all that, city leaders made it clear they don't need the National Guard right now. The mayor, the DA, and the sheriff all holding a big public safety event in front of the city's newest police recruits. Their message, there's no need for federal intervention.
There is no question that San Francisco is committed to safety. There is no question that when we need the addition of state or federal resources, that we have no problem seeking the assistance that we need. But we have this issue under control.
I trust our incredible district attorney, Brooke Jenkins, our sheriff,
They are doing the work. We are going to be relentless on keeping San Franciscans safe, keeping our tourists safe, keeping those that come for conventions safe.
So the city's unified message is that crime is under control. All right, so let's take a moment to look at the latest crime stats. The city says overall crime is down nearly 30% from last year. Homicides are at a 70-year low. The city recently got a bad rap for car break-ins, but even that is now at a 22-year low. It is day 15 of the government shutdown and still no end in sight. So the Senate failed for the 9th time to advance a short-term spending measure. Last week, federal agencies started firing workers, but tonight, Devin Feely says those layoffs are on hold. Devin.
Yeah, that's right, Jules. A San Francisco court handed thousands of federal workers a major victory in their battle to keep their jobs inside this federal building. A judge temporarily blocked the Trump administration from firing them during the shutdown. Now, lawyers for two labor unions argue that the president's firings would cause irreparable harm. The judge agreed, granting a temporary restraining order. However, the Trump administration didn't argue the merits of the case in court.
It is unusual when you have a hearing on a temporary restraining order that one party is not prepared to have a discussion on the merits. But the Trump administration was basically making two arguments here. One, that the district court judge did not have jurisdiction, and two, that there wasn't going to be irreparable harm if these firings could continue.
The temporary restraining order will stay in effect as this case makes its way through the court system. In a court filing, the Trump administration initially said that it planned to fire around 4,100 workers across 8 agencies. The administration said that that is likely to grow despite today's ruling. Juliette?
Devin, thank you. All right, more troubles on the tracks for BART. A fallen tree halted service between the Fremont and South Hayward stations for a couple hours this afternoon. Crews removed the tree, but BART is now reducing service on the orange and green lines for the rest of the day. Take a look at this. This is the damage from a possible tornado in San Mateo County. The storm damaged several structures and a 200-pound water tank in Pescadero. The co-owners of a farm took cover Monday night as it tore through their property.
I actually kind of stayed hunkered down just because the wind is really dangerous, and there's even a metal object over here that flew maybe over 100 and maybe 200 feet. So I just kind of waited for things to calm.
The National Weather Service is still investigating whether this actually was a tornado. A family farm rooted in Santa Rosa facing an uphill climb. Tierra Vegetables has leased land from Sonoma County for decades, but now it is up for sale. The owners hope to raise nearly $500,000 to purchase the plot by the end of the year. Our Suji Nam shows us who's working to keep the farm's legacy growing.
The crunching of the corn husks is a familiar sound echoing throughout Tierra Vegetables farm in Santa Rosa. Lee James and her brother Wayne have cultivated Tierra black corn and other fresh vegetables for decades.
We've been farming in Sonoma County since 1980s.
James has been leasing 16 acres of farmland owned by Sonoma County along Airport Boulevard, and now the property is up for sale.
But we really, at this point, don't want to take on a huge amount of debt right at the end of our farming career to purchase a $500,000 piece of land.
Which is why James started an online fundraiser in hopes that the community can jump in to help. The county confirmed with us that they will be offering the land to Tierra Vegetables first before opening it up to other bidders.
We have luckily found someone who is interested in the legacy of the farm.
Enter Jeff Davis, an Oakland-based chef-owner who sources cornmeal and other produce from Tierra Vegetables.
Being able to tell the difference between their cornmeal that's stone milled for us every week and the stuff that's been sitting in a warehouse for 5 years.
He is now partnering with the Jameses to help raise money and keep their legacy going.
A farmer that's going to relocate to start kind of training with them, and as they kind of let go of the wheel a little bit.
Meanwhile, James continues to expand on her expertise, like making sunflower seed oil.
It's an old piece of equipment. Yeah, I think it's from the 50s. Might be older than me.
And through this time of uncertainty, she reminisces what started it all.
My mom was a florist. We all worked at Orchard Nursery in Lafayette. And so we've been into plants. Went to some of the first farmers markets, certified farmers markets in the state.
And James hopes that by the end of the year, things will fall into place.
When you've been farming most of your, the majority of my life, you can't just quit.
In the meantime, James, who is 73 years old,
I like growing things, like eating good food. I like being with my dogs.
Plans to keep doing just that.
So the county put restrictions on the land to ensure it stays farmland. The open space district says this means it cannot be developed and will only, that is, be used for agriculture. All right, still ahead here at 6. It seems like artificial intelligence is everywhere, and guess what? Now it's directing traffic. How it's being used at a Bay Area intersection.
It makes a lot more sense if you can just see what's actually going on and react to what's happening in real time.
Plus, months after fire destroyed a former San Jose Youth Center, how the community is rallying to rebuild. In San Francisco, 3 firefighters are now recovering tonight after a fire in a vacant building took a dangerous turn. So fire officials say 2 of them actually fell through the floor. The fire broke out on Chestnut Street in the Marina near the Palace of Fine Arts just after 4 a.m. It spread to buildings on either side, leaving 4 people displaced. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. The injured firefighters are in stable condition. All signs of the former Moxa Youth Center in East San Jose are gone. Over the weekend, crews knocked down what remained of the building following a fire earlier this year. Shortly after the fire was put out, the Alum Rock Union School Board of Trustees, who owns the property, voted to demolish what was left of the structure. The cause of the fire, which happened early in the morning on August 29th, is still under investigation. The fire halted plans to restore the building, which had been vacant for nearly a decade. Now, a group of community advocates and former Moxa youth members calling themselves the Si Se Puede Collective want to lead the rebuilding efforts. They're hoping now that the site is safe and cleared and they'll be able to convince the district to accept their proposal. All right, today, day 2 of Dreamforce in San Francisco. The main focus this year, no surprise, artificial intelligence. So in Marin County, a small town has found a practical use for this technology. San Anselmo is using it for traffic controls. A group of Bay Area entrepreneurs have paired AI with traffic lights, and as John Ramos shows us, it may be blazing a trail to the future.
Okay, we've all done this. You're sitting at a light that seems to take forever, and there's no one coming from either direction. You may think that's a pretty dumb light, and you'd be right, but they are getting smarter, and it's starting right here in San Anselmo.
San Anselmo is a small town, but you wouldn't know it from this intersection. Welcome to the hub, where Sir Francis Drake, Red Hill, and Center Boulevards meet. At 65,000 cars per day, it is the busiest intersection in Marin County. But that means a lot of waiting at red lights.
They get complaints about this intersection. They knew, residents have been telling them for years that they have a problem.
But Colin Barnwell and Sabik Pradhan may have solved that problem. Their startup company, Roundabout Technologies, has extended the same kind of intuitive awareness of self-driving cars into traffic control systems. Normal systems use cameras to monitor cars coming from each direction.
The controller is taking this input and deciding, well, if something's here, I should probably turn the light green for like 20 seconds because there might be more things there, there might not, I'm not sure. And there's a bunch of cars waiting here, there's a bunch of cars waiting here. But the sensor says there's one person here, so you keep it green.
That leaves lines of traffic waiting at red lights for one or sometimes no cars at all. But Roundabout's electronic brain assesses the actual real-time situation.
Not just cars, but every bike, bus, pedestrian, everybody that's moving around, we're mapping them into 3D space. And then we're using that, positions and velocities, to run this real-time simulation 10 times a second. We can make any light change in the timing plan that's allowed, what's the best one for throughput and safety.
They say the system is cutting time stuck in traffic at the hub by about 30%, 91 hours of combined time for drivers, at a cost of 30 cents per hour to the city. And safety is improved because it takes bikes and pedestrians into account as well. Google installed its own traffic system in Seattle, but it only uses Google Maps data to help engineers time their lights better. The roundabout system monitors what's really happening at any given moment.
It makes a lot more sense if you can just see what's actually going on and react to what's happening in real time. So I do think that in a lot of ways this is the future, and the main reason this, you didn't see this 10, 20, 30 years ago is just because the SAIA technology wasn't there to allow you to see everything going on the way that we can today.
The system has been operating since August, and San Anselmo is the company's first client. But the city has already gotten a grant to install the AI controller in all 12 of its stoplights.
Do you feel like this has really proven its worth now? I do, yeah. And I think it seems like San Anselmo agrees with us.
Some fear AI will be the downfall of mankind. But if it cuts time waiting in traffic, so be it.
The city says it's looking forward to coordinating the technology with other towns in the area. They also say the reaction from residents has been positive, except for one. There's always one. From someone who said they can no longer check their texts while waiting for the light to change. There's always one.
All right, we got to pick up this forecast on what's coming our way. Late summer. We're going right back. Remember when it was like sunny and near 80? I bet you thought we were done with that after the way the first part of this week is gone. We're not done with that. I'll show you why this weekend is setting up pretty nicely if you like that kind of thing. Forecast is coming up.
The rain has gone. Yes. The clouds, though, they are here, as you can see on our topography.
Yeah.
Darren Peck now in with weather and to tell us what a storm is coming, but we're going to miss it.
Well, that's a pretty good looking storm up there.
Yeah.
We can see it sitting up here in the Gulf.
Good looking.
So this is not coming for us, Julia.
Okay.
So in terms of like the clouds and the rain, not ours. But we're going to feel that still. And it's going to throw us some waves. If we transition this, instead of looking at the satellite, so here we are. That thing is going into Canada, but if we put the wave heights in, by the time we get to Saturday, the wind from that storm will have kicked up a swell that does get here. Now, here's where this gets interesting. The main focus of this forecast is sunny and warmer by the weekend. Sunny and near 80 if you're inland. We are going back to late summer. And at the same time we're doing that, this is going to be happening on the coast on a day when there's barely a cloud here and it's warm. Some people could get taken off guard by that on the coast because sneaker waves are possible. Rip currents could be possible out there on a day when, maybe it seems like a good time to go to the beach. I'm going to show you those numbers coming up here in a second and why we might think that. But before I get to the headline, which is sunny and warmer, I need to show you one more aspect of how we're transitioning to winter. Watch the Central Valley. This is tomorrow morning. That looks kind of unique. That is Tule fog. Look at it form down here in the San Joaquin Valley. And what you're seeing down here is the damp ground. They got a lot of rain down here over the last few days. And what happens in the winter is if you soak the ground here and then you get cooler overnight, you develop Tule fog, not only from the San Joaquin Valley, but it comes right up here into the Sacramento Valley. And there are times, this is not one of them, but there are times when that Tule fog can then sneak over, squeeze through the delta and come into the bay. That's not going to happen for us. Tule fog will stay out there tomorrow. But look at the Santa Clara Valley. This will not be fog on the ground tomorrow. But it will be a bit of a stratus cloud that develops down here because we also got a fair amount of rain in the Santa Clara Valley. So it's just enough that what happens is you probably develop a little bit more cloudiness in the morning. Look at the rainfall totals in San Jose so far since October 1st. 1.5 inches of that fell just on Monday. But you're at almost 2 inches now in total since October 1st. That's why the bottom of that says 1,231% of normal. It is a ridiculous statistic, but the odd thing is it is correct. Since October 1st, that's when we start measuring the water year, we're sitting at 1,200% of average. Obviously, that will not stand. We're not going to stay there that long. It's going to start falling precipitously as we don't get any rain over the next few days. But that's how much rain we got in San Jose. Look at San Francisco. Picked up almost an inch. So we're also well above average here. All right. I digress. Here's the main story. These are your daytime highs tomorrow. It's sunny and a little bit warmer, sure. But Saturday is where we really kick in the warm-up. We'll switch the contours and we'll put the numbers on here for Saturday. Now let's go back to the Santa Clara Valley. Check out that number there for San Jose. 82. That's your daytime high. Look at Livermore. Look at Fremont, and we'll just work our way north from there. Temperatures in the North Bay will also approach 80. Santa Rosa, that's you up top. And you'll be going to a daytime high that basically gets you up to near 80 for the daytime high. So here's how we're going to get there. A little bit warmer tomorrow in the 7-day forecast. Plenty of sunshine. Friday, we take the jump. I think you noticed the warm-up already by Friday. Technically, Saturday, we peak. Remember the waves if you're going to be at the beaches here. And then Sunday, we might cool down a little bit, not much, and it won't last long. We're basically going to lock this in. We still have plenty of late summer to get through here. You're really going to feel it by Saturday, and we'll probably be staying at least with temperatures that are about 7 to 9 degrees above average for most of this 7-day forecast. All right, Juliet, back to you.
All right, thanks so much. When we come back, a hospital on the peninsula celebrates a major milestone of serving its community. Redwood City's Sequoia Hospital marking nearly a century of serving the community, and today they held a 75th anniversary celebration. Attendees of today's event got to explore how the hospital has changed over the last 3/4 of a century. And while the people, equipment, and techniques may have changed and updated, hospital leadership says their mission has remained the same since day one.
Our first CEO used to say, our patients are our neighbors, our friends, our family, and that's how we treat them. And so this is a very special community hospital where people can get great care, innovative care, which is unusual for a smaller community hospital, but also that special touch of a community hospital.
And part of today's celebration including opening a time capsule from the 1950s, as well as displays of old equipment, uniforms, and photos from the 1950s to today. That special touch. CBS E! News is next. We'll see you at 7 o'clock with local news. And always, streaming service CBS News Bay Area. You can find us there. See you at 7.